What message do you bring?
I hate to say it, 2023, some realities of life, okay? When you say no to what the government wants you to do, it doesn't matter your color, your creed, which country you're in. If you are the layman, doesn't matter what kind of bank account you have, nothing matters. This is what you'll be greeted with, okay? Right here. This is what you'll be greeted with. Batons. Oof. No, what? We're just protesting. It's just us voicing our need for change. Doesn't matter. This is Europe now. Man, we back, yeah? As long as you are a layman, as long as you're the normal person on the street, as long as you feel the boot of the government on your neck, as long as you're the kind of person that when stipulation happens, you suffer. If the government decides something, it doesn't matter where you come from. White people are protesting all over the world. It's not just black people. It's not just Africa. People are protesting all over the world because governments have become, how can I put it, rogue.
Dread it, run from it, destiny arrives all the same. And now it's here.
You vote for them, granted. Okay, you vote for them. But now you want change. You say, government, no. What you want to do, we don't want you to do it. We as the people, we as the majority. And still, this is what happens. Unfortunately, this is what happens. It is what it is. And I think the sooner we accept that reality, the better it is for your mental health, the better it is for your decisions. It's just better. It's just better that if you go and protest, you know what might happen to you. You know that might be your last day on earth. And you should be at least cognizant of that fact. Hey, all I'm trying to do is magnify the media. And I've thought about this as a layman. I mean, what's happening there? This is in Le Français. It's something that we'll maybe talk about later on. But I just had to show that. So as an African kid here, I don't just think it only happens in Africa. You know what I'm saying? The media doesn't show you, of course. But any government, regardless, the people will be stopped, trampled upon, beaten to death, if need be, by whichever government it is. That police, same color as you, doesn't matter. They're just doing their job as you protest for your right to decide how things must go in your country. Interesting. Banks are collapsing all over the world, and the Simpsons somehow have got it right once again. I don't know how they do that. Have no idea. I'm just a layman noticing what other laymen have said and have noticed about this cartoon that seems to be so accurate. So let's see what they mention here, right? So Silicon Valley Bank.
What do you mean the bank is out of money?
Huh?
Insolvent? You only have enough cash for the next 3
Days?
customers?
And the people go mad. Why? Because the bank doesn't have money in it. Yet all of us have put our money into the bank. And so we don't understand how, if I've given you 20,000 and we've all given you 20,000, or whatever amounts it is, how is it that you're not able to give it back to me? You know? I mean, I'm a layman. I don't profess to know anything about banking, but I think we need someone to explain this to us, you know? And luckily, because I magnify media, I think I found someone who kind of put it plainly enough to understand, and I think I believe him in my gut, you know? I believe him.
I just assume my concern. No.
I mean, the question is, how does the bank just all of a sudden not have money? How can it just collapse? How is it that you hear things like in depositor insurance for certain amounts? So if I had more than that amount in the bank, somehow all my other money is evaporated? How? Let's get our man over here to explain these kind of things, because I'm trying to get my mind around how banks are failing all over the world now, and I'm just trying to understand, right?
The 15th largest bank in the
15th.
United States has collapsed
in Silicon Valley due to the fact that there was a bank run. For the people who don't understand what a bank...
Okay, so Silicon Valley Bank collapsed in California, if I'm not mistaken. It just collapsed. And by my understanding, it was a very successful bank, right? And he said it, 15th largest bank in America. Hey, or Silicon Valley rather. But I mean, yeah, how? What happened? A bank run. Let's see how he explains this bank run. And it might be happening to a bank near you. I don't know, but let's just see what he says.
It's when people are going to the bank and asking for their money back. When you give your money to the bank, you're lending the money to the bank, same way as if you lend it to a friend. Let me tell you what happens with banks. In order for banks to make money, they take...
And remember, guys, this is your money, right? You should have a right to claim it all back whenever, however you want to. Okay.
In order for banks to make money, they take your money and lend it
My
out.
money,
It's called a
lend it
10-to-1
out.
ratio. For every
10 to 1
$10,000
ratio,
you
okay.
put in, 9,000 will go out to loans, 1,000 will stay in the bank. That 9,000 usually will go to either government, customers, or large corporation through bonds. They are creating an arbitrage opportunities for themselves by leveraging off of your money without...
Now, as a layman, of course, when big words are being used, don't be too scared, right? Arbitrage, go Google that yourself. I'm just magnifying this media. My understanding is they use your money to create businesses, and that's their business. Their business is making money using your money. They're making money using your money. So when they're making money using your money, and you come and you come in and want your own money back, they've already used your money too much. Therefore, they don't have your money currently in their possession to give you back your money.
You get it? Okay. If you don't get it, forget about it.
Yeah, I reckon that makes sense. Yeah, I think that makes sense. That makes sense.
Without giving your money for what they're making off of it. This is exactly what happened right now in Silicon Valley. People went to get their money out, and guess what just happened? It collapsed, and the reason is they have to sell their bonds for a lower price than they bought it for, so take a loss for it to be able to give you your money back. They're able to give the money back only to the people who had $250,000 or less. Anyone with more money is not able to get his money
now that
back
makes
at
me
the
angry.
moment. And this is something we're about to witness with many more banks because they all do the same thing. I'm going to the bank and I'm taking my money out.
Oh, now, as you see, at the end he says, I'm taking my money out. I thought cash was king, Regardless of what happens, if you have cash though, if you can get them bands, if you can keep them bands, you're safer than most people because at least you have your money. Your money's not just disappeared, and your bank, if you have more than $250,000, all of a sudden your money's gone. How does that feel? You know what I'm saying? Like people, or not people, this institution says, give us your money, we'll keep it safe. You give them your money, they decide to do whatever they do with it, buying bonds, as he tried to explain, which I didn't quite understand as much, but I think I like my explanation where they take your money, they go do this huge business deals, they use your money to make money for themselves, and then because of those assets haven't matured enough, there's no necessarily enough money for them to pay you, but now that shouldn't be my problem, right? Surely those banks should be held liable. I think that's where this thing of, what do they call it? When the government kind of saves the bank. Man, it's complicated. It's complicated. But this, as I said, might be happening to a bank near you. Can you accept that? Can you prepare? And what is to prepare? To prepare is to get them cash. Cash back. Cash is king. That's my understanding. And clearly, after his explanation, yes, take your money out, apparently. Okay? Now let's move on because, my understanding as a layman now and the type of, and all the media that I've happened to consume around this topic is that it's actually a movement. It's a movement. The collapsing of banks is going to push us into the digital age, which is not new, of course. It's nothing's new under the sun. The digital age of cashless society is right here on our doorstep. F&B, Standard Bank already having apps or applications, QR codes, as if I'm back in China now, where you don't touch cash for like 2 years straight. When last did you even hold 1,000 rand in your pocket, 1,000 rand in your hand, 2,000, 3,000? And after his explanation, cash is king, right? So why is the push so great to be cashless? Does it really have any benefits? I guess it does. Convenience. You know, you don't have to carry a wallet now anymore. Everything is just on your phone. But now they're hackers, you know, there's it's a lot of things. But let's just see what this lady, because I found this lady and I was like, what? It's actually a push and it's coming to a bank near you, if it hasn't already.
This reset will be a huge shock when Americans catch.
So it is a reset. This reset is going to be a huge shock to all Americans. Change that to the whole world. Because I can guarantee you now, how many African countries have debt in dollars. So if something happens in America and they decide, this is how we're going to do things, we have to follow suit. So the whole world, right? Let's see what this lady's saying.
John, that's why the average person won't hear a word about the
Me and
story
you,
until it's
the
obvious
average
to just
person.
about everyone. And by then, it's going to be too late.
Yep.
In the months ahead, central banks around the world are planning to go digital. Many of the legacy banks you've heard of, where you probably even keep your money, like Bank of America, Chase, Citi, Wells Fargo, they're about to be reset.
Now change that. All your legacy banks, Standard Bank, that bank, F&B, whatever you want to call it, all of them, all your banks are going digital. Did you know that? Me and you are the layman. Me and you are just the common guy on the street. Hey, come to a bank near you.
About to be reset, overhauled by a new type of technology called fintech, which is short for financial technology.
Yeah, can I ask you, what exactly does that mean for the banks and all of us, you and me?
Essentially, it means the function of our banks is about to change.
Oh.
They probably won't raise public suspicion about it by changing the signs on your bank's branches, but according to my sources, the Federal Reserve will soon own all the banks, and your local branch, it's simply going to be like a licensee of the Fed. In other words, the banking infrastructure is being rebuilt from the...
Did you hear that? The Fed in America is going to own all the banks as subsidiaries. They won't change their name. They won't alert you. You're not going to even know about it until it's already right there and you have to comply. Interesting. Interesting that they wouldn't want to tell the public. Why, again, would they not want to tell the public? Because if the public, you know, if the majority decides, no, we don't want this, what happened? We're in the streets, of course, because governments don't listen to their people, right? I mean, we know that now. Batons come out, rubber bullets come out, and the police get to handling you, you useless eaters. So it's coming to a bank near you, all over the world, digital. Okay?
Round up, and very few Americans are aware this is even happening.
Yeah,
we are right
I didn't-
on the verge
I didn't
of
know
a
until
once-in-a-generation
I had to
opportunity
magnify
profit by
this
investing in
media.
the companies that are building out the architecture for this massive shift.
Okay, so her advice was to invest in the companies that are going to push this new fintech or this new technology. Now, as I was magnifying this media, I happened to stumble across print media that explains or gives a different view that I think we ought to check out, right? So, an African country apparently has already enforced this on its people, regardless of what they think. Already enforced it, and can you imagine? There was some backlash. Interesting. So let's read a few of these snippets from this article, right? And just get a view on it. So what's the headline here? Headline is Nigerians' rejection of their CBDC is a cautionary tale to other countries. I think so. A cautionary tale because of, why is it cautionary? Because governments, pursue ideas without a care as to if we agree or not. Granted, that is a part of leadership where you lead people into new areas that they don't necessarily understand or can fathom right now, but surely should be explaining it to us. If we still insist not to want something, we are your constituents. Listen. But anyway, let's read. Nigerians are protesting the African country's digital currency and demanding renewed access to paper money despite government incentives. What a headline. What a headline. Never knew about it. Never heard it on the news. Never heard it from another layman passing by. So I had to magnify it, And that's why I think it's normal people actually trying to understand the world that they're living in that is essential. So we can discuss these ideas and see how we move forward and not be surprised when the boot lands on you, boom, and you have to change and you're not prepared. Right? So here it is. People in Nigeria want paper money. We want paper money because cash is king. Okay. Now let's go through and just see what are the talking points here. Right? Okay. In Nigeria, citizens have taken to the streets to protest the nation's cash shortage. So that's how it works. The government takes away the cash and says, here's the alternative that you have to take. Okay? Further objecting to the government's implementation of a central bank digital currency, the shortage came about due to cash restrictions aimed at pushing the country into a 100% cashless economy. Right? So that there was a push. They didn't gradually say, hey guys, we would like to do this. Let's see how many of you actually take it on board and see it as efficient or effective. No, they're pushing it. They literally started taking money out the system. Okay? The country experience strongly suggests the average citizen understands that CBDCs present a substantial risk for financial freedom while providing no unique benefit. Oh, we have to acknowledge that fact. No unique benefit. We're already tapping with our cards anyway. We're already sending money via EFTs. Why do we need to have total removal of cash? Shouldn't it just be another part of the system that should be allowed to still exist, flourish, and be there for those who prefer to use it? It is still a legal tender. Why remove it? Interesting. It is no secret that CBDCs have been growing in popularity amongst central bankers, policymakers, and consultancy firms in recent years. Yet for citizens, it's been another story. When the US Federal Reserve solicited comments on CBDCs, more than 2/3 of the commenters were concerned about the risks of financial privacy, financial freedom, and the stability of the banking system, which is already showing that it is not perfect. Banks are failing. Right? And yet they want everything to be digital now. And you can imagine in South Africa with all the load shedding, all the electricity problems that we have. Can you imagine everything being on your phone and now there's no power for 2 weeks, 3 weeks? How are you going to transact? Cash is king. Interesting points there. Let's just read one more insert, right? Further, CBDCs really don't add anything novel to the market in terms of benefits for consumers. Okay. To the extent people want it, many currencies are available in digital forms through debit cards, yes. Payment apps, yes. Even prepaid cards. So to the extent we already, have options where we don't need to use physical cash. We have our cards, we have our electronic payments. So surely there's no benefit to just removing cash. There's nothing new to that per se, but this is extreme where we don't have an option to use cash anymore. And I think that point is very telling. There is no unique benefit. Nothing, no novel benefit to using to removing cash. There's nothing. We still use debit cards, payment apps, and even prepaid cards. Now, here's one thing. I'll just look at this one. CBDC adoption incentives. Whenever incentives come about from government, I always think something fishy. Because if it made sense and everyone agreed that it made sense totally, there wouldn't be a need for incentives. There wouldn't be a need for, hey, please take this and we'll give you free whatever. No, not at a governmental level, I think. Companies, yes. You're going to a pep store, you're going to a supermarket to do something, yes. Incentives, I want you to buy more. That's where incentives should be, but not in government. When it comes to things that they say are going to be beneficial for us. Hashtag, you get it.
What message do you bring?
Seemingly, even though the people have protested, which we didn't see until I haven't seen reports of it, but seemingly, even though people have protested, even though there's a majority of people who still want cash to come back in the country, it seems here by the report that if you look here at the second paragraph, unfortunately, the Nigerian government doubled down and moved to more drastic measures by restricting cash itself. In December, the Central Bank of Nigeria began restricting cash withdrawals of 100,000 naira
I just show my concern. Oh.
per week for individuals and 500,000 naira for businesses. Now, once you restrict me from taking out my own money, and yet you're surprised that I'm aggrieved as a citizen of the country, I find that hard to believe. I find it hard to believe that you don't know what you're doing. I find it hard to believe that you're not just being forceful, tyrannical. I don't know what the other word you can use, but you now are showing me a different side to you, Mr. Government. The new world we're living in, get ready for it. Coming to a bank near you, coming to the continent, coming to the phone near you. Everything's going to be digital. And I wonder what other country has already had this and what kind of other capabilities are they able to do? Let's go back into the past, into China. Our health code, which is on your phone. I was in China. I can tell you 100% it's there. Health code is on your phone. Your bank card's on your phone. All transactions on your phone. Everything. Food. You can order a car. You can buy a house. Everything is on the phone. Everything can be done digitally, right? You don't have to go anywhere. You could buy a whole building just by sitting in your house on the phone. Health codes linked to your phone. Everything's on the phone. Imagine now what the government can do if they want to restrict your movement, restrict your cash flow, and probably even take away your money if they feel that you have become, a problem.
You get it? Okay. If you don't get it, forget about it.
What else can they do if everything's going to be on this, what we call cellular device, this small box that we carry with us everywhere, tracking us anyway already? Surely any ounce of detachment, which is our cash now here in Africa still, well, for most of us, as we can see in Nigeria, there's something going on there. Surely we should be celebrating these kind of things. Surely we should be keeping cash as king, right? Out, stay inside. You're sick all of a sudden, just because the phone has decided, just because technology has decided, and they have you by the neck deciding your future, regardless of whatever you think. Hit the streets, whatever you are the layman, you will own nothing and be happy. You will have no rights, you'll be happy. You're a useless eater, we'll govern everything about your life. Ha! It's a new world, Magnify Media. I'll see you in the next one, yeah?